Did you know the Ancestral Kitchen podcast has a thriving online community? Patreon members love our private group discussion forum, away from the noise of mainstream social media. In this group, conversations brim with ideas, recipes, humor, and thoughtful discussion of member questions. There's a bonus exclusive podcast where Alison and I answer member questions and talk more informally about our kitchens and our lives. This private podcast also includes after-show tidbits with guests, everything we didn't dare say on the main feed, and all the extra stuff we couldn't fit into the primary episodes. There's a monthly live chat where we get together with members, and afterwards the recording goes up in the private podcast feed for members to listen in later. Come and be a part of a group that will befriend, encourage, and support you and your kitchen endeavors. We'd love to have you join us. Find all the details at ancestralkitchenpodcast.com. Every month, Alison and I record an entire extra podcast episode, which goes up on our private podcast feed, Kitchen Table Chats, just for our supporters to enjoy as a benefit of their financial support. In these episodes, we chat about what is happening in our kitchens, big revelations or things we are studying or writing about, as well as answer questions sent in by our supporters. Today, we are sharing with you an episode that launched on the private podcast feed back in March, and we answered a number of interesting questions from listeners, including a very sticky one we frequently have been asked and had to deal with in very personal ways before. What to do when people are critical or downright rude to you about the ways you choose to eat or make snide remarks about ancestral or non-industrial foods. We also talked about the idea of finishing everything on your plate and whether either of us subscribes to that idea. In addition, we talked about the Nourishing Traditions read-along, which is open to everyone and can be found in the show notes. To become a paid supporter of our podcast and enjoy more of these kinds of informal chats, as well as many other lovely benefits, visit ancestralkitchenpodcast.com or just peek at the show notes. Welcome to the Ancestral Kitchen Podcast.
I'm Alison, a European town dweller living in England.
And I'm Andrea, living on a family farm in Northwest Washington State, USA.
Pull up a chair at the table and join us as we talk about eating, cooking, and living with ancestral food wisdom in a modern world kitchen.
Hello, Alison.
Hi,
Good
Andrea.
afternoon.
Hello, good morning. Good sunny morning here. Good sunny afternoon.
Love it.
Yes, it's very nice. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually warm. Gary's on Graves, which means when he's home, which he's not home right now, then he's running the fire overnight. So then we wake up to a warm house, which is
nice. Luxury.
Lovely phenomenon.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and have you managed to eat yet or not?
No, but I did have a delicious dinner, and I'm going to have some leftovers of it for breakfast.
Okay.
I've never made this before, but have you ever made, I've never had it either, potato quiche?
I don't even know what it is.
Quiches? Yeah, I probably don't know what it is either, but I had this big box of potatoes I told you I bought, and then there was an event at church. And after it was over, they looked at us because we have the most kids, and they're like, "Do you want the leftover food?" And I was like, "Sure." So it was butter, which is a nice grass-fed one, which is awesome, and cheese, which was a local cheese. So that was awesome, and sour cream, which was not local or anything like that, but okay. It didn't have any weird additives, so there's that. So I cooked potatoes and I mixed in some of the aforementioned ingredients. And then I had found, when I was cleaning out the freezer, a package of like a pastry dough.
Okay.
So I rolled it out and cut out little squares. I do not know if I did this right. The dough was kind of like dry and crumbly, so I was doing the best with what I had and made these little quiches.
What are they, like tarts or closed things?
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
Which one?
I was reading in the book and I was like, I don't understand what she's saying about how to like.
Is it K-N or
K-N-I-S-H? I think
and where's
it's
it come
Jewish.
From? Okay.
I think it's a Jewish thing, because you use schmaltz in it or butter. You know, no lard or anything like that.
And did you fold the pastry over or did you leave it open?
Well, it was very crumbly. So I kind of like had a square and I put like a blob of potato in the middle of it. Yeah. And then I sort of like scrunched the.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Pastry dough up around the sides. So like the top was open like a little galette almost.
Yeah.
So.
Sounds nice. I mean,
yeah, the kids loved them. They were like, you have to make this again.
Potato and cheese and cream together. I mean, come on.
Come on, like, can you really go wrong?
Yeah.
I know. And then with that, we had some leftover spaghetti because I made a really big batch 2 days ago because I had like 2 days of doing a whole bunch of stuff and I know I wouldn't have time to make it. So I made like a vat of sauce. So some of our last of our home canned tomatoes plus some of the Azure tomatoes and then tons of herbs and onions and peppers. And I cooked pork from our pig and I cooked beef from our cow and then simmered it all together and then had that with pasta. So I had that. And then, because that's not enough, I made the liver and onions from Nourishing Traditions.
Okay.
That's on page 307 if anybody's looking for it. And it's so good.
Which liver did you use?
I used beef liver.
Okay.
And when we had the cow butchered, I went the same day or the morning after, I forget, and picked up all the organs from him just because I didn't want him to have to like store them and package them and stuff. And I brought the liver home and threw it on the table and just like cut it up into smaller pieces. Then I laid those on parchment paper on sheet pans and laid those pans in the freezer. Then once they froze, I put those into packages and vacuum sealed them. So that way I could take out,
one at a time.
A beef liver is giant for anybody who's wondering.
I remember. I haven't had one since we left Italy, but we used to get them from Flavia all the time. And I used to make pate with the entire lot. I mean, it was like
my God!
It was like a cooking all day Sunday,
like a bathtub of.
Yeah,
no kidding. That's insane.
You can see why last time
I would do, Alison.
You can see why last time we talked about liver pate, I said to you, "I've decided to scale down my liver pate."
That comment is now making sense because when I make pate. I usually do it when Gary butchers because I'm like, I've got 20 livers. I could freeze them or I could just make a big batch. Not 20 cow livers. We're talking 20 chicken livers.
Yeah.
And it's enough that I can freeze maybe like 4 or 5 little jars and keep one in the fridge for me to eat. And I was like, well, doesn't take that much longer. But now you're talking about a beef liver. I understand.
Yeah, they're huge. Oh, it sounds delicious. So you had
the liver and onions was fantastic.
Liver, onions.
No, it really was.
And did you soak the liver? Did you do the yogurt or the lemon juice thing on the liver?
No, honestly, I did that the first time I made beef liver, and I've never done it since. Like I've never done it again. No, and all the kids ate like it's just liver chopped up. Liver chopped up into kind of like stew beef sizes, and I don't do the recipe exactly the way Sally Fallon has it in the book. I cook the onions and butter in the pan first, and then I put the liver in. She has you cook the liver, then get another pan and cook the onions. And I'm like, no.
No, I wouldn't do that. Why would you do that? The only problem is sometimes the liver leaves sort of gunk on the bottom of the pan.
It definitely does, yeah.
Which you have to just be careful you use enough fat to make sure that doesn't go kind of dry and hard and into big sort of black blobbles. But I like the flavour.
I had the big chunk
of
of butter, see?
Yeah, well, there you go.
The butter from the church thing. So I was like throwing butter in there recklessly. And all the kids ate it. Like, I think Jacob had 2 servings of it. It was just chunks of liver. But honestly, it was
it just tasted like beef. I can't even say it tasted like liver at all.
Yeah.
And cook it so it's still pink inside. Don't overcook it. That was what I did the first time I cooked liver, was I just cooked the heck out of it. I think I was like afraid. I didn't, know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so if you cook liver the first time and you're like, ugh, it's so gritty and grainy, well, it just means it's overcooked. So you can do it again and
for a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about, as we're talking about nourishing traditions, do you want to talk about the bookmark things, or do you want to save that for later?
Oh, why don't I find out what you ate first, and then we can jump back to that.
Because there's an aside on my 8 things that might take some time.
Oh, well, this would be an aside on mine that takes time. So exactly. I guess if we want to roll that way, we can.
Go on, you do the bookmarks, and then we'll come back. So just don't forget to ask me what I ate, because there's a question I want to ask you about it later.
Oh, yeah. Well, I need to know what you ate. I will not forget.
If you've been around ancestral food for very long, or listened to the podcast for just a few episodes, you know liver is a superfood, and Alison and I both love it. You're looking at a food packed with vitamins A, K, a broad spectrum of B vitamins, CoQ10, bioavailable iron, plus many essential minerals. Liver is your first stop when seeking to gain energy and restore your health. Not only is it a delicacy and staple of traditional diets, it's the first thing most animal predators go for when they're hunting. Are you looking for a good way to work liver into your daily life, but getting it on the table just isn't happening yet, or as much as you'd like? Or maybe, like I went through earlier this year, you're pregnant and you're pretty sick and not much food is staying down. This is where liver capsules come in. Alison and I are both supplementing our ancestral diets with liver capsules from One Earth Health. We get all the incredible benefits of liver, even when we're on the road, or preparing non-liver meals for our family, or we just can't get a hold of a liver, and the sourcing and preparation has all been handled for us. One Earth Health produces nutritious organ capsules from 100% grass-fed, New Zealand-raised cattle. Support the pod by purchasing through our link. You'll get 15% off your first order and 5% off subsequent orders. Go to ancestralkitchenpodcast.com/liver or check the show notes.
Okay. So we are doing a read-along of Nourishing Traditions for anybody who's listening to this but is not in our Discord discussion group. You can certainly read along with us without being in the Discord group. You don't have to be in the Discord if you don't want to. But if you want to share your photos with us and discuss and ask questions, it's shaping up to be quite nice to have other people doing it alongside you. I really like hearing what other people are doing. So, Alison, when we recorded the live call, that so people can go back and see, it went out at the end of February.
No, February's live call.
February's
live call. Okay.
Yeah, so that's in the podcast player now if you're listening to this right now. It's in the show notes there. The link is in there.
Okay.
And it's a link to our website with the schedule of how we're reading. So like what we're reading each month. And there's also an undated version of the same schedule. So if you wanted to start, a year from now, but not have the months written on there, you could do that. And it's actually a page that you could send to anybody, not just a patron, and they could read along with you. Like you want to send it to your mom or, a friend and say, let's read along together. They could download the calendar too and read along. But this is something I made. I made something a couple days ago, Alison, that's just for the supporters of the podcast.
Okay.
So a little special extra thing that I wanted. And I made 2 different bookmarks for Nourishing Traditions. They're big. Actually, the way I have it formatted, there's only one on a page because it's like big and in the middle of the page and goes all the way down. But one of the bookmarks is the schedule for the Nourishing Traditions read along. So if you wanted to just have that on a schedule and tuck it in and check it off as you go, you could do that. And the other is a quick reference bookmark. So I kind of went from the beginning of the book all the way through to the end, and I just pulled out a bunch of recipes that are sort of base to a lot of things that one would make. And
give me some examples.
The liver and onions. So liver and onions is on here. Chicken stew, liver mousse, mayonnaise, stock and sauerkraut. Just the things that pop. I didn't put on like kefir because it's not really a recipe, but it's something one would make all the time. But like basic beans are in here because basic beans could turn up like every week. So this is just a handy dandy extra reference, and it was actually useful for me yesterday because I knew I was making the liver and onions, and I just glanced down.
I have got
the reference
many
page.
pieces of paper stuck in my Nourishing Traditions, like sticky kind of bookmark things, envelopes that I just happened to have that I wanted to put something in there, and anything I could reach. So a bookmark, or frankly 2 or 3 or 4, would be, I think, very useful for Nourishing Traditions. Not only to save your place, but also to when you open it up and you want some inspiration or you want something to turn to have those recipes listed on that one is really helpful. So where are you going to put them? You're going to put them on the
I'll put them on the
website.
Yeah, they'll go on the website. So same place you go to download everything else. I'll just put them there. And I have, Alison, I have 4 of them printed.
Wow.
Because just like you, I feel like I'm in so many multiple places at once. And because it's kind of a bigger cookbook, sometimes you find a recipe and then you lose it. You're like, where did I see that? Like liver and onions, it's in the main courses. It's not in the offal section,
Oh, that's
and
confusing.
it's not in the beef section. So you might be like, where did I see the liver and onions?
Well, and also some of the ones that I find, the ones that are kind of extras that she says, you could do it like this, but you could also use this grain.
Yes.
And you're like, but it's not in there. But then it's one of those kind of things at the bottom that's just a paragraph. And you're like, that's where it is.
She has so many little things like that are, it's a complete, like you've said, I think when we recorded the episode 103, I think you said something like, it's a completely different recipe.
Yeah.
And it's like that's your staple, is that version.
Yeah.
She has so many of those. It's like there's a million recipes in that book. So
awesome. If people listening want to just refamiliarize themselves, deepen their relationship with, or be inspired by Nourishing Traditions, if they're on Discord,
or just
not
lose your place.
Or not lose their place. If you're on Discord, you can come to the thread that we've made in the books channel, and there's a long discussion on the KTC Live to figure out kind of where that is if you want to listen to that. If you're not on Discord and you want to be, then get on Discord. It's quite easy. Find the link that is in the welcome email you received as a supporter. And if you don't want to be on Discord, but you still want to do this, then go to the website and the download section. You will find the read along at the very top of there at the moment. You can download that, and then we will put the wonderful bookmarks that Andrea's made in the supporter section. So you can go there and download the bookmarks and print as many as you want and put them in your Nourishing Traditions.
Print them and hand them out like tracks.
I think that explains all the technology.
Have you met Liver? Do you know Liver?
Liver. Talking about those T-shirts on Discord, the broth T-shirts with like memes on them or whatever. I don't know what they're called. They just look so good. I think that one day we will have a range of T-shirts. I think Corey from For Nutrients' Sake, that's her brand. She created a T-shirt, a couple of T-shirts with butter.
Oh, did she
them,
really?
And she wore them at the Western Price conference. Now, I just think we should have a couple, some broth ones, some liver ones, and really, they would, they'd just be so much fun. One day,
they would. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll figure it out eventually. After we figure out, our normal problems.
Yeah. They never seem to end. When's really going to get to the point where we're all sorted out and all the problems have gone, and then we can actually do something like that?
I keep thinking that. I keep thinking that. You know, that's like it's because I congratulated us, Alison, on figuring, yes. I was like, wow, I really feel like we're getting a handle on these audio things. And then that's when I got the text from my friend. I love that you can hear the baby in the start of your episode. I was like, you can what? I was like, you can't. No. Like my heart literally stopped. I was like, what is she talking about? So I rushed and got my phone, and sure enough, on the introduction of one of the episodes, you could hear the baby.
Yeah, it's hard not to, isn't it? It's hard not to.
Yeah. Well, what did you eat, Alison? I need to know now what you had.
I've got a question.
I was curious what the tangent is.
Yeah, after I was putting it away, I was just like, I'd like to ask Andrea that. So the boys have gone out to Gloucester to meet a friend of Gabriel's who lives in Gloucester. And it's a lovely sunny day, so they're going to be in the park, which will be really nice. Anyway, so I'm here on my own, and I walked them to the station. I did 2 hours of work on the book this morning. Yay. And then walked them to the station in the lovely sun, came back. And then I made lunch for myself. Last night, I took out of the freezer the little bit of the chickpea hummus thing that I made that we talked about on an episode somewhere in the last 6 weeks.
When did we talk about that? I know, I remember it, but
it's a nice hummus, and it's my kind of anti-nutrient hummus, trying to do everything I can to get the nutrients, the anti-nutrients out. So anyway, I thought, well, let's freeze a bit, see how it freezes. So I got that out the freezer last night, and then this morning I put some buckwheat flour in with some buttermilk and some water in the proofing box to just ferment a bit. And then I got back in from walking, turned on the cast iron pan, lit the stove, and back to the cast iron pan, poured the buckwheat mixture in it, and then prepped a little bit of salad. We have some carrots from Roz at the market, and a salad bag that she puts together of her kind of winter greens, and a bit of pepper. So I chopped all that up, put it on the plate, with some of Nicole's apple cider vinegar that she brought over for everyone who went to the UK meeting.
That's so nice.
And some olive oil. And then I literally just sat down with this big sort of bowl of, it's purple hummus because it's got beetroot in it, and a buckwheat pancake and salad. And the hummus was amazing. Like, seriously, I think it just gets better the older it is. Well, like the third or fourth day we ate it, Rob was like, this is better than it was when we first made it. And freezing it, there's absolutely no deterioration in it at all. If anything, unless I'd forgotten how good the first batch was, it was even nicer. It's such a gentle flavour. The gentle is the only word that I can kind of put to it. So I figured I'm going to write this up as a recipe sometime over the next 6 weeks and put it on my website, because
sounds lovely.
And it's one of those things where I just did it and it was lovely. I just guessed everything and it was lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely loved it. Purple roasted beetroot hummus, which has been soaked. The chickpeas were soaked for 2 days, and then they were cooked in the Instapot to remove the lectins, and then sesame seeds were put in here. So I had that. It was really, really tasty. What I wanted to ask you, though, the tangent, was a question that really has been, I guess, not a question, a discussion with myself that has been part of my life for the last 30 years, really, and changed very much so, from the different me's, so the me who was overweight and ate very differently, which is when I put everything on my plate, and I put too much on my plate. I put what I thought was the right amount, but ended up being too much. I got to just about, 3 or 4 slices of pepper left, a little bit of the greens, and a tiny bit of the buckwheat pancake, and I thought, I can't. I'm full. I don't need to eat that. And the hummus was in a container, so I could have taken more. But I was like, right, I'm done. And historically, in my past, I've been rubbish at leaving food on my plate and not eating it, even if I'm not hungry anymore. You've got to take into account the fact that if you eat more slowly, you're more likely to be sated, obviously.
Right.
If you eat quickly, you're going to think you're not hungry, but actually you're probably full. You're going to think you're still hungry.
Right.
You might be full. And so what I did was I literally just found a small container and I put a few bits of salad and a few bits of pepper and a little bit of buckwheat pancake in a tiny little container and put it in the fridge. I can eat it tonight or something. But what I find really interesting, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one, I'm sure that people listening have this discussion with themselves and have had and have seen it change, how you manage or how you think about dishing up food. Do you put less on your plate? Do you put what you think is the right amount on? Do you put more on your plate? Do you then leave things often? Do you struggle with leaving things? Do you not leave things? How do you know when you leave things? When it's the right time to leave things? And how good are you at that? And do you feel guilty when you don't do it? And how does it affect you? I think it's just a huge, huge topic that women, particularly, even if it's not like a cookie or an ice cream, which is the obvious kind of cliche, I can't stop eating the ice cream. When it's tasty, which the hummus was and the buckwheat pancake was, I was like, yeah, I know more's going to taste good, but more's not going to feel good. So I'm going to stop. In the past, when, particularly with foods that I struggled with, like with sugar, I could not stop myself. That, I guess that's the definition of kind of addiction or having emotional eating problems. That, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, no, not 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I was unable to stop myself. When it came to sugar, I'd just keep going. And slowly, I think through eating this way and through working through emotional issues in my life and expressing myself in different ways, my attitude to food is changing and has changed to the point now that I don't generally eat more than I feel that I need. And if the Alison from like 20 years ago had seen me doing this now, I think she'd just be bowled over that I could do that. But what's also interesting is that Rob often puts less on his plate than he thinks he's going to eat because he prefers to decide later and go back and get some more. Whereas I don't like getting up towards the end of a meal and getting more because I think if I do that, I'm more likely to eat a little bit more than I know is comfortable, And sometimes I struggle with the fact that he goes out and gets extra and I'm like, no, I don't need any extra. I don't want any extra. But that's his habit compared to mine. And I just wondered how it sat with you and what you wanted to say about it. I was interested in hearing your take on that whole thing that I just said.
Hey, you washing the dishes. Been there. You've heard Alison and I talk over and over about her love of rye sourdough bread. Well, I might actually call it an obsession, but that's neither here nor there. Now you can make Alison's rye sourdough in your own kitchen with her as your teacher. And she's a really good teacher. Rye is economical, it's delicious, and full of nutrients and low in gluten. There's a reason why it has been a darling of bread bakers for centuries. Make it into sourdough, as Alison will show you in her course, Rye Sourdough Bread, Mastering the Basics. And you've got an amazing, tasty, and nutritious staple in your kitchen. It's traditional and it's nutritional. In this course, you'll learn everything there is to know about how she creates and maintains her rye sourdough starter, all about whole grain sourdough rye, including the key differences between baking with rye and wheat, how to make 2 loaves, an everyday rye sandwich bread, and a delicious Russian-style dark rye loaf, and what to do with your sourdough discard, including video walkthroughs for sourdough pancakes and a tasty, sweet, spiced cake. Head to www.ancestralkitchen.com/rye.
No, I think it's a really interesting. I like that you were thinking about it because I know both of us came from a background with like a binge restrict cycles, and I remember watching people eat and like they would have like 2 or 3 bites left on the side of their plate. say you're at a restaurant and the waiter comes over and be like, "Are you done?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you could take it." And I'd just be like, "What?
Yeah.
Like, how can you let them just take that away? What the heck?" I just couldn't comprehend it. And I tend to very much underserve plates now.
Okay.
So I think a part of that comes from having little kids. I always serve my kids way, way less, and I tell them, you can come back 3 times, 4 times, that's fine. But it's better to take less to start and not have as much waste. And I mean, this is where I should probably ask you this, Alison, too. I actually thought this was what you're going to ask me. If you have like a little leftover soup, I'm like, just go put it back in the pot. And that's if it's just us. I don't do that if like there's people coming over, and I would not serve somebody food that like we put our leftovers back into.
Yeah, no, we do that too.
Okay, good to know I'm not the only one. Yeah. Leah said they do it too, so I was like, okay, maybe it's just not as weird as I thought. But I remember when somebody was at the house and I had served the kids oatmeal, and then they dumped the leftover oatmeal in the trash, and I was like, I like choked. I was like, what are you doing? Because I mean, I know oatmeal is not that expensive, but I was like, we put in the good butter, we have the good cream.
We always keep oatmeal. Even if it's only a spoonful, we keep it in the fridge. And sometimes Rob will have it as a snack, or sometimes it goes on the evening plate. We always keep it. Yeah,
or sometimes you're mixing like meat, like meatloaf or something, like I don't know, I'll just dump in that little bit of oatmeal. Yeah. But anyways, so I always tell the kids, I'm like, take less. You could go back as many times as you want, but it's better than, if there's like a half a bite of something, it's kind of awkward to deal with it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, that's actually, you were saying, Alison, how little was left on the plate, but you couldn't finish it. That's actually the hardest window for me. If like I can't eat half the food, I'm like, I cannot eat this.
Yeah.
If there's like 2 bites, I'm like, could I just try?
Yeah.
Could I just go over
that so well?
But either one of the kids is sitting there looking at me and asking me, are you gonna eat that? Or, I can just hand it to them.
Yeah. I often give it to Rob. I'm like, do you want this?
Yeah.
Do you want to eat
this? My niece calls it Daddy Trash Can.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, Daddy Trash Can, can you take this, please? I can't eat it. It just cracks me up. But I don't like finishing it. This is what and I feel like I'm more and more conscious of this as I move away from like people have like how many days they've been sober. I don't have like how many. Yeah. I don't have like a days since disordered eating. Because it was like such a non-linear finish for me. But like the farther away I get from that, the more comfortable I feel.
Yeah.
Not going past my point of like ease. And I think there's like an aspect of food scarcity in my head that played a big part in the disordered eating. Like, I have to eat all of this right now because like I might never eat again.
Yeah.
And telling just like I have this sensation when I eat the first plate, which like I said, I always underserve them. I make them like smaller than I think. And after I eat it, I usually feel really good. I'm like, I feel good. And then I think, I could so eat another bite of that. It was so good. And I always just tell myself like not from a trying to eat less. In fact, I'm actually probably should be eating more than I am right now as far as producing milk goes. But when I go back and I eat another piece is usually when I then feel actual discomfort. Like, I'm like, I wish I hadn't eaten that. Like, I felt really good and comfortable, and now I feel like full. And that is not a comfortable feeling for me.
I get that.
And so, like, this is not, I'm in a nursing stage of life where I'm trying to get more calories in typically in a day. So it's not at all like I'm trying to restrict myself from a caloric intake type thing. It's just I am more and more conscious of like if you had gone and eaten that last little bite, you would have, for me then, I was going to go try to work on the book, then I'd be like just feeling like heavy, like I just feel like bleh from all that food. So I don't know.
what I find, thank you for sharing that. I think we're kind of similar. What I, two observations that I wanted to make. The first one was when I went to the Western Price conference that came here to London, and when I was pregnant with Gabriel, I went to Sally Fallon's talk, and in that she talked about what she ate on a normal day. And I was astounded. She showed slides. I was just like, that's not much food. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's not much food.
Wow.
And
Who
then
was that? You said that was Sally?
Sally, yeah, that was Sally. And then when I go to other people's houses and I'm served food, I'm astounded by how much they put away. Same with my sisters. We've got jacket potatoes on the table. There's salad, there's hummus, there's, all these other things, salamis, and I'm having kind of a small jacket potato perhaps, and some of the salad and etc. And I look at what the rest of them are eating. I'm like, how on earth are you managing to eat all that and still feel
okay? But do they actually eat it? Because I notice a lot of times people take huge servings and they throw away an insane amount of food. Like you think to yourself, wow, that is a lot of food. But then you look at their plate when they stop eating and there's like half the food is still on their plate.
Yeah, so maybe that I don't know if I remember looking at the plate when it was finished to know. But it's really interesting. You kind of, when you've been through disordered eating, or when you're working consciously with your food, like listeners of the podcast are, it's interesting to think about. When's that line?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? What are you doing it for? It takes, and during that journey of me moving from overeating to where I am now, it took sometimes an incredible force of will for me to go, I want more. Why do I want more when I'm full? I can feel that I don't need more. Why is it I want more? Where is this coming from?
Oh my gosh.
To try
and those moments
determine
is when
that's the hardest. Those moments are the hardest.
I know. I would literally think to myself in that exact, that moment you described, I'd be like, am I a beagle? Like, was I a beagle in another life? Like, I just can't stop. Yeah. I've heard of, beagles and some types of dogs with that drive in them. Like our Pyrenees dogs, you could leave a basin of food out and they'll eat what they want and then they'll just wander away.
Wow.
But I remember my friend telling me, she said, one time she left the bag, or the bag got ripped or something happened, and her dog gorged himself until his stomach was swollen and he was
how does that happen now? Because all the pets are overweight now, right? You hear on places and you see cats that are twice the size they should be, and you think, but in nature a cat won't eat more than it needs. I mean, I'm sure all of us in our kind of unencumbered states just eat what we need and then get on with the rest of our lives, because we've got something. Sometimes it's just simple as we've got something more interesting to do than just to sit at the table and carry on eating. There's things we're excited about in our lives, and we want to feel good and get on with that.
It's a huge part of it.
And so I think that for these cats and dogs, why are they overeating? Are the owners doing like what my dad did, like feeding my cat brandy butter at Christmas and feeding it yogurt? My dad used to feed our cat yogurt.
Cats can't have alcohol.
No, I know.
What?
Well, they can in my dad's world. We used to feed our cat a strawberry yogurt from the carton at dinner time. So is it that the humans are forcing those cats and dogs to eat more food, or are they feeding them the wrong type of food? So those signals of I've had enough have gone, or are the cats bored? I don't know. Why are cats and dogs getting overweight as well? I'm looking to you for the answer to this, Andrea.
Well, Alison, I don't have all the answers, but I will tell you something really, I know,
Shame.
Disappointing. I will tell you something obnoxious that I saw that has just bothered me ever since I saw it was when we first got the dogs, we got some kind of somebody gave us a dog magazine or something, and there was all these articles about different things, so I'm kind of reading through it, and there's an article about overweight animals, and I was really struck by the article because they were saying, if you are not feeding, your animal like their species appropriate food and they're not getting enough exercise and you're feeding them too much because you love them and you want to give them little snacks and things, they said, it's not kind to your animal. It's really hard on the animal and it's not good for them. And they're going to have, this list of diseases.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, but you are not allowed to say that about humans. If you say that today, they say it's like it's fat phobic, and you and I both came out of like some fun times, and like we both know the price you pay, like the cost, and I've heard the saying, like, healthy at any size. And I think the saying beautiful at any size is true. I don't think somebody has to be a certain size to be absolutely radiantly beautiful. What I argue with is telling people it's okay to never try to get to the root and maybe solve, maybe if there's an emotional problem, or maybe we're just not eating food that our body likes, or maybe our thyroid is struggling, or, maybe we don't have time in the day to care for ourselves, or whatever it is. Like, to tell them, well, that doesn't matter because you're healthy anyways. It's like, well, that's not actually true. And that's a very difficult and sensitive and painful topic. I mean, I think you and I have both had a fair amount of misery related to that topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, trauma for sure. And then saying it to somebody, then there's it's like feels like a judgment or something. And but what broke my heart was that you could say about animals, like, look, it's really not good for the animal. They're going to get heart disease. They're not able to move around as much. They get tired. They can't go on long walks. Like, it's just not good. The article was so compassionate, but
I think the judgment thing is avoided so often because people who do struggle with their weight sometimes have tried so many things to recover from that. And it might be, like you said, that they got a thyroid issue, or they're eating gluten and they shouldn't be, or they've got a dairy problem, or their gut biome is priming them to do this kind of transformation of their energy and store it in a certain way.
When they were a baby, and like there's a lot of things that play in.
It's not necessarily the person's fault. I feel like people conflate fault with judgment, and therefore to avoid placing the blame on people, you can't. You're not. The blame and judgment are kind of the same thing, and that if we were to look at it and go, well, actually, let's see what we can do to fix this, rather than saying it's your fault, then that would be a much more healthy way of addressing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's always struck me, that dichotomy, that you could say it about animals, but you couldn't say it about people.
Yeah. Do you love oats? Want to try your hand at a traditional Scottish oat fermentation? Suans is just that. It was made in Scotland for centuries and will give you both a creamy, easy-to-digest porridge and a tangy probiotic drink. My video course, Suans, the Scottish Oat Ferment, over at the Fermentation School, will guide you through everything you need to know to create these two ancestral foods in your own kitchen, no matter what equipment you have. Head to ancestralkitchen.com/Suans, ancestralkitchen.com/Suans, SOWANS, or click the link in the show notes to get a 10% discount automatically applied.
But
I don't know where this discussion.
Anyway.
We started talking about the food, the food
hummus,
on your plate, didn't you? Yeah, hummus. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what else is on the list for today?
Well, you said there was a question from Brianna.
Tilsha. Yeah,
so
exactly.
What's the question?
Shall I read it?
Yeah.
Shall I read it?
Can you read it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Brianna's question is how to handle naysayers, things to respond with when people make not so nice comments or when people just act like it's so crazy to even try to get away from industrial foods. How to handle those who also make straw man arguments such as, but so many people died, or basically commented on how people used to starve before the Industrial Revolution. When those people completely ignore the causes of the famines, and ignore the fact that we have hindsight to prevent more famines, and we also have technology to help, such as weather apps, communications, so we can ask for help or research things. So basically, how to stand your ground when explaining our lifestyle choices.
Ooh, that is a many-layered question.
I'm gonna push that over into your court, I think, first.
Yeah, that's a challenging one because people, we speak out of our own ignorance.
Yeah.
On things. It's just something we do, and we speak out of also the influences around us. So, and that doesn't. None of us are able to avoid that really at all, and I try with the same thing as I do with food. When people say, how do you make sure you're getting the right nutrients? I'll say, well, I try to get like a very wide and diverse diet and just like don't fixate on one thing and just eat, only that forever. And I feel like that's the same with, exposure to ideas and things. I'm always looking. Actually, Charlotte Mason says it's like the mind is like an octopus, all the arms always reaching out, trying to pull in all the ideas, and like weighing them and measuring them and putting them up against each other and seeing what fits and what doesn't work. And so I feel like I try to avoid falling into, as much as I can, the deepest biases by always staying picking up a lot of information about history and reading a wide variety of things and talking to people in different life experiences so that I don't get totally. I mean, I feel like as soon as I say this, I'm going to think of something where I'm super entrenched, but I just try to keep like a wide range of ideas before me at all times. And so I feel like that would help. I would try myself to fall less into the category of a person who would look at you and say, but why? Like, you're so dumb because you think differently than me. And not everybody thinks like that. And so they'll hear a news article that says, well, organic's not really any different than anything else. Or they'll hear an article that says, oh, everybody used to die before they had pharmaceuticals. So there's really, you have to take them. There's no choice, and that's as far as their, data input goes, is just that influencing headline or something, instead of trying to tease out, well, maybe I think that because that's what I want to think. Like, maybe I'm wrong, So if somebody doesn't have a mindset to learn and isn't interested in exchanging ideas, I don't think there's much you can do to help them, honestly.
I agree. Yeah.
Like, all you have to do is say, I mean, this is easier said than done, but like, all you can do sometimes is say, well, that is such an interesting perspective. We can, I'm happy to hear your perspective. I'm happy to agree to disagree and just walk away and try not to grind your teeth at night. But I don't know. She's shared before some of the people that she's talked to who just are really like heels dug in and not interested in hearing anyone else's opinion. And I'm guessing those people are like that on everything. It's not just the food, they don't want to hear your opinion if you think differently from them on anything, and your football team's the wrong football team. And, those people are hard to work with.
I agree with you. I think it's not worth our efforts to try to convince people who aren't ready to listen And, they would be probably the ones who come up with statements like that. We have limited energy in our lives to make the changes that we want to make. It's hard enough to change ourselves. But
no kidding.
If we want to make a difference in the world, trying to pummel energy into convincing people who aren't willing to listen is not the way to do it. We need to turn our attention away from those people and find the people who are on that edge and are ready to listen and use a different kind of energy to engage with them, I also, there was something else that I wanted to say. Let me bring it back to my mind. What was it? Let me look back at Tilsha's question because I wrote it down because something in it kind of struck me. Yeah, I feel like I can't remember what it was now. Yeah, I can't remember what it was now. But I think it's not worth engaging with them. I think we should turn our attention to something that we can engage. Oh, I remember what it was now. It was that it's really hard when you know you're right to let other people just be wrong and not want to correct them. That's something that I've struggled with in my life. It's not like I know I'm right, because when I go, for example, it depends who you're with. When I go to a UK meetup, which I did earlier in this month, and met 4 amazing supporters of the podcast and sit in a room with them over a weekend, I have so much to learn, and all of my opinions are open to be changed. All of my opinions are open to questioning. I am perfectly willing to come out of a situation, hoping to come out of a situation like that with some of my perspectives changed and some of my views questioned. But when you're with someone else who is not like that, who is argumentative and shut down in areas and not willing to have that discussion and just wants to tell you that they know better than you, in that situation, the graceful path and the one that is least harmful to ourselves is to just go, okay, you have your opinion and I have mine. And, to some extent, we might think that we know better than them because we know that people didn't die, for example, all the time. Okay, some people did, but it wasn't like everyone said, before this, everyone died. Before vaccines, everyone died. Before this, everyone died. We might think we know better, but there's no point pushing it. We're only hurting ourselves by trying to let everyone know in the world what the truth is. And, particularly with my parents, I've struggled with that because they're just so closed to anything around health in any way, shape or form. They think it's the big finger, it could be you, whether something happens to you or not. And they're
out of your control.
They're carrying on with their lifestyle, with their cigarettes, and they're eating battery eggs and cooking in vegetable oil and then pouring it back in the thing when it's gone cold, pouring it back in the pot and using it again the next day. And there is, I gave up trying to talk to them, and I exemplify everything. I'm there and I'm cooking differently, and they're not interested at all. They're in the little box. And so for a while, I was open, and then I realised it was just getting shoved back at me. And then, so there's no point me trying to say, but look at this truth. If you look at this, you'll work out that this and this happens, or just try it and see how you feel. I can't do any of that. And dealing with the kind of frustration when it's someone that I love who's hurting themselves, when it could be so different. All of those things are things that I need to process. I need to process the fact that that person's talking to me and saying that, oh, people died, I know better than you. Well, okay, you know better than me. I need to process whatever emotions come up in my body to be able to handle the anger and frustration I feel. I have to deal with all the emotions coming up in my body when faced with my parents or faced with those naysayers. So it's a it feels like internal work on our part, and then to transform that energy into a direction where it's actually going to make a difference. Because otherwise it's just two people bashing their heads against each other, and that is never going to produce anything good at all.
Yeah.
I think.
In a weird roundabout way, for you to keep pushing and prodding at your parents, it's actually less loving, and that sounds weird for you and me, because we're like, yes, but the best thing you could do, but you can, you live your life. They can see you, they can see what you're doing, they can see the difference between you and maybe, other family members or something, and you've exposed them to it, you've maybe made some attempts, and then you kind of just have to move on and stop pushing them with it, because, like you were describing, when you were with the, Nicole and Fiona and everybody, when you all got together, everybody is speaking in such an open and interesting way. It's like, I want to hear anything you have to say, and they're willing to hear me. And if they disagree with me, they might say, well, this is, I'm really interested you said that, because this is how I feel. And then I would be more receptive to their ideas, right?
Absolutely.
So, but then when you said, if somebody else is just pushing and pushing, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to hear anything you have to say, like, just shut up.
Yeah.
Then you could become that to your parents, just the clanging cymbals, and they don't want to hear what you have to say anymore.
Yeah, and they're not going to want to be with me at all.
Yeah,
and
they're not going to want to be with you,
them.
because you're just going to lecture them about what they're eating, and they're going to feel guilty. And
it's a judgment of, okay, this is how far I go, and then this is where I stop, and this is where I accept this person as they are. And I'm still on the out. I'm still got my antenna up. So if any question comes up, and it looks like there's an open, an open desire for me to talk, then fair enough. But otherwise, just not going there at all.
And that's actually exactly it, Alison, because the day may come, and it might not, but the day may come when they hear something from somebody else, or their doctor says something like, you actually, whenever medicine catches up to things, sometimes they accidentally say the truth, and they might want to come talk to you about it. But if you've been this irritation
they're not going
to them,
near.
They're going to be like, well, because Alison eats lard, I literally don't want to. They just have this negative association with it. And that's very hard to overcome too. So sometimes the most loving thing you can do is just not try to prove your point. And let them
not try and prove a point.
Let them have space to come to you later if they want to.
I think there are plenty of people in the world who do want to hear stuff. And that's a positive thing. It's just finding those people and connecting with them in the right moment,
That brings us to Discord. But really, it's true.
Yeah,
it does.
Absolutely.
But that's a big that's a big question that Tasha had. It's a really big question, and it's
hard. I'd say it's hard.
Yes, it's a little easier if it's somebody on the internet, or your parents who are a train ride away. It's harder when it's somebody you live with in the house, and you have to hear it all the time. And you might need to say to them, "Let's come to an agreement. I'm not going to rag on you about your stupid seed oils. I'm not going to rag on you, and you're not going to rag on me, and we're going to live in harmony." Just like. Might need to say something if it's somebody you live with and they're just picking on you forever. So
it's hard.
That is hard though. And it's tough as far as somebody living in the house, because I don't have that problem, so I'm not 100% sure how I deal with it.
No, I think well, I tend to just go, I'm getting out of here. That's my habit. I don't like this country. I'm going to another country.
Fine, I will move.
It's not the best way, though. I'm learning that staying in situ and addressing the issues in situ is also beneficial for one's psyche. And
you'll run out of countries after a while, Alison.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, So I want to
But
tell you what we ate at this meetup, because
oh my gosh, I want to hear everything.
I don't know if I can remember it. So for people who aren't on Discord or haven't noticed or don't know, there was a European patron meetup at Fiona, who's a patron, at her place in Herefordshire, which is on the border between England and Wales, in the end of January, beginning of February,
Hold on,
a long weekend.
How
Herefordshire.
do you say that?
Is that the word?
No, I always thought it was Herefordshire because we say Hereford for the cows.
Oh, okay. No, Hereford.
So we don't pronounce it Hereford.
Yeah, Herefordshire. So if people want to look at it on the map, the nearest town is Kington, and her place is called Huntingdon Court. She has a B&B there with beautiful rooms. Just absolutely beautiful.
Wait, she does?
Yeah. She doesn't do it all the time, but she does it at certain times. And you can go on her website and see the rooms. They're very amazingly pretty. She did all the decor herself. It's stunning. What? It's absolutely stunning. And a farmhouse with beautiful stone. She's got a little cottage on the side. There's just land. She's got chickens and sheep, and she's had pigs. She hasn't got pigs at the moment. She's got her own woods. The house is old and beautiful and big and lovely. And there's a church like literally just a walk away next door, which she plays the organ for. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Anyway, and we arrived on the Friday and stayed until Sunday lunchtime. And so there was Fiona, and then there was Amelia, who lives in Wales, and there was Jen, who lives in Kent, me, and Nicole, who lives in Italy, who flew over.
Wow.
So it was just wonderful. When we arrived, I just wanted to focus on the food, really, because it was fun, and just give you try and remember what we ate, give you a long list. When we arrived, Fiona had done a venison stew with venison that was just shot in the Forest of Dean, which is close to where she lives. And it was just she's got a big range, a kind of a range cooker. It was on the cooker. And
her kitchen looks really big in the picture.
Oh, it was a very, very big kitchen. Very big. With two nice. Tables in there and loads of workspace. So we ate in the kitchen for breakfast, and then we ate in the dining room. Very nice dining room. With
so fancy. Eating
big table and fancy white linen tablecloths, etc. In the evening. And she'd done some baby onions in butter to go with it. And
oh my gosh,
absolutely beautiful roast potatoes. And then she has a tree nearby with damsons on. So she'd stewed some damsons and also made a damson jelly, like wiggly jelly, and homemade ice cream was had for
oh my gosh,
dessert. Really beautiful. Nicole
I feel like
wine.
Like I walked into a Redwall book.
Oh. It was just beautiful, delicious. Fiona's house and her kitchen and everything she gets up to with food is amazing. The next morning was Saturday. I'm trying to remember everything we had now. So on Saturday morning, I made large oat cakes, and we had them with scrambled eggs from the chickens that Fiona has. So we just went out and got the eggs.
Oh my goodness!
With some butter and bits and bobs, and there were jars of all these different preserves that Fiona had made, which we had at different times. And then we started cooking haggis. We'd cooked the pluck, so that is the heart, the lungs, and the liver, with the windpipe hanging over the edge of the pan.
I saw that,
which was quite an unusual photo. And then we minced that. So this was to have the following day. We minced that with a hand mincer, and we put it with oatmeal. And
you mean like
herbs?
Okay, when you say mince, my mind pictures like chopping it really small. But okay, so it's like ground up. Okay.
Yeah, like we had a cast iron grinder that you attached to the end of the table, and then you turn the handle. And so we made haggis. We also made a roast beef, which Jen was kind of in charge of making roast beef. So we served haggis with roast beef together, and lots of roast vegetables and Brussels sprouts. Nicole made a strudel, which is a traditional kind of recipe where she is, with apple in, and a really nice sourdough pastry, which had a tiny bit of lemon in, which was really nice. I'm trying to remember what we had for lunch.
The pastry?
Saturday. Yeah, lemon in the pastry. It was really.
Wow,
I didn't
really
try any
good.
there, but I had a little. We had some leftovers, and I had a little bit when we brought it back here, and the pastry was delicious. And what else? So we made a spelt sourdough while we were there. And yeah, so the haggis was absolutely wonderful. It didn't taste like liver and heart and things. It
sounds amazing.
It was amazing. It tasted whole, kind of rich and whole, but you couldn't taste the liver or the lungs or the heart separately, and you wouldn't have known that there was no meat in there. It was just the offal. You wouldn't have known that, which was really quite incredible. It had quite a lot of suet in it.
Why does haggis get such a bad rap?
I don't know.
I have to say, I've never had haggis, but when I read the ingredients, it just sounds literally delicious. I mean, you can read something and be like, that sounds good. Like, it just sounds amazing. I love everything that's in it. But growing up, I always heard, haggis. It was like the big joke, like, oh, they ate haggis or they're serving haggis.
I don't know.
I
think it's the thought of it, the fact that it's got the lungs and the heart in and the liver in. People just don't like it. But the flavour, I didn't think was livery at all. It was absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to make one. It was really, really lovely. So we made a sourdough bread as well. We made something for lunch, and I'm trying to remember what it was. I wrote everything out that we made, and I don't know. I can't remember what we had for lunch now. Maybe I'll remember before we finish. And then the next day was Sunday. I made a throdkin in the morning on a Sunday, which is an oat and bacon dish. And then Fiona got some of the green salad leaves from her kind of greenhouse. She's got a greenhouse with a stone kind of bottom. It's not just glass. And then we had all these different kind of preserves with it, and we had fried eggs. And then we made sandwiches for lunch with the bread. I remembered what the lunch was on Saturday now. I'll tell you that in a minute. We made sandwiches with the bread, the spelt bread we made, and a rye bread that Fiona had bought from a kind of artisan baker's, and the leftover roast beef, which was just so nice the next day, and all sorts of preserves. On the Saturday lunch, I've just remembered now, Nicole made a soup, a leek and potato soup, which was absolutely delicious. And of course, we had kind of leftovers from the bread, we had leftovers from the oat cakes, we had leftovers from all this other stuff. It was such a rich weekend of people who just speak our language. Yeah. Just spending time together in the kitchen, doing stuff. There was always something going on. We were making the bread, or Nicole was making the pastry, or we were doing something for the haggis, there was always something happening in this massive big kitchen. And we were chatting away and looking at Fiona's books and talking about homeschooling and life and health.
You didn't tell me about the books.
Food, and we went for walks around the grounds. Kind of we went and saw Fiona's chickens and her sheep. We looked around her whole bit, where she's growing, the different lean-tos and greenhouses she has. We went out into the fields. We walked all the way to Wales and stepped over the border and went into Wales and then came back, because Wales is right there. So we went for a walk on the Sunday and we walked into Wales. The sun came out for us, which was lovely. We went to the church and looked at the church and the organ that Fiona plays. And we talked and we talked and we talked. No, she didn't. She didn't. No, we talked and we talked and we talked just all the time. It was just so heartening and connecting and wonderful. So yeah, it was a shame that you're so far away and you can't be there, because you would have loved it. Everyone would have loved it. Every patron listening would have loved to have been there. I would have loved for us all to be there. It was. I'm definitely doing it again. It was wonderful.
I told Gary about it, and he immediately looked up tickets, and he's like, it's not that bad. Like, you could go. I just gotta get kind of past the stage that the baby's in right now.
Yeah.
It's
for next year.
It's not easy to travel with this, but
next year maybe.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be awesome.
So I need to put another log on the fire.
Okay,
so shall I go and do that? Can you talk for a few minutes? Just a minute or so while I put a log on the fire. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So say since it's just us guys, let's talk about Alison. I'm just kidding. No, really though, on the Nourishing Traditions bookmark and bookmarks generally, guys, give me some ideas for bookmarks, because I actually uploaded a couple extra ones for you that I made of some Waterhouse paintings. I love the Waterhouse paintings. And so I uploaded those for you guys to use as well. But give me ideas if you want more bookmarks.
Okay. I'm back. The flames are...
We were talking about you, Alison.
Yeah. Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
You'll have to listen to the episode.
Oh, dear.
I'm just kidding.
So I would...
But that sounds so lovely. So lovely.
I would love for anyone who could. You know, we were very, very mindful of everyone's particular needs in the kitchen, you know. Mm-hmm. So not everyone can eat everything, and not everyone there could eat everything. And so it wasn't a problem, because we all know what it's like to come from that position.
Yes.
And
the
information exchange was amazing. You know, the learning, the things that I learned that weekend were amazing, and the closeness that I felt towards those people who just have come from us sitting here chatting. It's just amazing. It was such a visceral, you know, a real representation of what we're doing, and it was wonderful, really wonderful.
It makes you think when we bemoan, you know, loss of community and these sorts of things. There you go. You know, that was an experience for a weekend, and not saying that, you know, you all want to be cooking fancy, extravagant meals every day, all day. But the idea of that flow of the ideas and the information and the learning, and I'm sure, you know, Nicole will just drop some random casual comment and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, that's how that works, you know? And that just having that more, you realize, oh, there's a really rich heritage to be had of just being with real people.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you wanted to start the podcast, because I've met a lot of our listeners in person, because a lot of them are in the United States.
Yeah.
So I've been able to meet quite a few. In fact, Alison, somebody booked 3 nights in May, and she sent me a message and she said, hey, I'm a longtime listener of the podcast, and I'm one of your supporters as well, and I'm just really excited to go out and stay. And so then now we've been able to text back and forth some food things, you know, like, oh, do you do this with sourdough? And oh, I do that. And, you know, just being able to have conversation, and it'll be cool because she'll come out and she'll be here for 3 days, and I'll get to meet her, and we can, you know, it's not like she's, you know, sleeping on my couch or something. So she'll have her own space, and we can walk around and look at things, and she's going to sauna, and, you know, it'll be spring, so it'll probably be dumping rain and cold still, but it'll be lovely.
Yeah. Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Meeting
a nice
people
note
in
to end
person,
on, I think.
That's a good thing.
I think we've been going quite a while. We should probably end.
I think we need a Washington, like in Pacific Northwest meetup.
Yeah, well, you have talked about that, and there are quite a lot of you there. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. There's people, like, there's quite a lot if you even count down to Northern California, which is, you know, kind of within a day's drive if you're in the very northern part. We have the Eastern Washington, we have Northwest Washington, we have, you know, Tilsha and JC are down, or Allie are down. Wow, no, sorry, Rebecca. Rebecca's down south of me, and the other ladies are east of me. But, you know, there's actually a fair number out here. And then I feel like there's starting to be a pretty fair collection out in, like, the Michigan area too. So, you know, maybe what is that, Northeast group meetup? I don't know. Wherever there's clusters of us, we should get together. And I've been fortunate to have a number of our supporters come out and just visit the farm or stay for a night or something. I mean, Justine came out and we did a whole weekend together, and that was really fun. Yeah.
It's so nice.
It is.
People in person. Really, really
it's
good.
Something else. And then Leah came out, and we were all sick the whole time.
You were ill.
so-
Yeah. Apart from that,
I
you were ill.
was so sad because I wanted to like make all this food and
But she's coming back.
instead I was taking like soup out of the freezer and stuff. So exciting. Yeah, she's coming back though. She's coming back. Actually, yeah, if anybody wants to come out, she's coming back on Labor Day weekend. So we're actually putting together a get together. I posted it in Discord. I should post it again. But
that's cool.
if anybody wants to come out to that, then I have a feeling there'll be a lot of food.
Yeah. Come and finish eating it.
Yeah. Come out and eat.
Okay.
Anyways.
Right.
We're
going to go.
Okay.
And thank you very much. And
good time.
I shall speak to you again soon.
Yes, you shall. Can't avoid it.
Bye for now.
Bye.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can join as a patron. Choose from various levels starting at $5. You can see what we offer at ancestralkitchenpodcast.com.
While you're there, check out our favourite books, supplements and kitchenware, or give a one-time donation.
Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
And if you know someone who would love our show, tell them about us.
You are helping to bring ancestral food wisdom into modern kitchens, changing the world one plate at a time.